Shirley here with Sirius Dallas Moon, and I have a nice topic of discussion right now. There's a new free country of Verdis, and it's between Croatia and Serbia. This is Jupiter hour. Jupiter close to the ascendant close to Sirius. I'm wearing my Sirius talisman. But hey, talking about new countries, I had an attempt to declare an Orion. Then I learned a little bit more about Orion, and the election was not so good, so I gave it up. I wanted to declare an Orion currency. But Orion, unfortunately, also had slavery, according to some gnosis, so I will have to rethink. But meanwhile, another person, I love it. It's orange and rose, and oh my god, this is so good. Jupiter Venus, just some shea butter, popped some oil, made a consecration, and yeah, let's talk about the free country of Verdis, and it offers e-residency. I'm curious about that, but before that, I always take a look at charts, and I will consider the Declaration of Independence. We don't have an hour, and I created the location close enough to the border of Croatia and Serbia. So let's take a look at this chart. So from the perspective of an astrologer, what am I seeking to see? The ruler of the fourth house I won't see because I need an hour, but I look at the moon. Moon 13 degrees Aries, the ruler Mars 8 degrees Cancer, squaring the moon. Now, good thing about the moon, moon is in Ravati Nakshatra, Aries, new people, new nation, amazing. My correction and refinement for perhaps a future declaration of independence would be Mars needs to be in a good place, but either in Aries, Capricorn, or Scorpio, but definitely not in the fallen placements like Cancer or Libra. You can do with Libra, but it would put you into how should I say that, the Switzerland problems. And it doesn't look like Switzerland has problems, but banking wise, I wouldn't recommend. Okay. However, there was already a problem with Verdis, which is, I think, Serbia or Croatia invaded Verdis, and indeed, Saturn square moon can denote of an invasion. Mars square moon can denote of an invasion. Again, something that is fresh, and Mars in Cancer is emotional, and the hard aspect to the moon can be invasive. So this is where what I would change about that is having Mars not in Cancer. Rahu and Ketu. Before I'll touch on Ketu, there's a lot in there. Rahu, 19 degrees Cancer, ruled by the moon, which is again a focus on the people, focus on nourishment. I love the position of the moon here. The challenges with this degree of Rahu is that it squares Aries, and Aries is basically the cloned elite project, the Ubermensch project, which can cause problems to the fate of the country with the cloned dynasty. So in that respect, perhaps having placements that are in more of a harmonious aspect with Aries can assist. However, the clash is also um, very much represented by the nodes, or the nodes of the eclipses, the fated placements in tension, in creative tension with the cloning project. So this is something I really love to see. It's not easy because the people will have to manage, and I would prefer a Procyon support. However, anything Procyonic would right now apply to oppose Pluto. So I would definitely meditate with a Procyon talisman on that. In fact, I will actually add my own Procyon talisman into the mix, um, because any such country and any such placement, although Procyon squares Aries, we want to reflect on how we can make the best of this not easy, chaotic growth challenge. And yet we do need to challenge the Nibelungen, okay? We do need to challenge the Nephilim that was supported by Nazi ideology. And we do need, and this is a time of the elite itself challenging the elite. So this is absolutely understandable. But here, Cancer is the people. It means that the people are going to be the people that challenge and change society. It makes a lot of sense, okay? However, the Mars here definitely needs to be moved to a better place. Right now, Mars will be ingress in Scorpio, but it will be um, squaring Pluto, perhaps towards the third decan of Scorpio, where it will apply to trine Pluto. We will have a better position where it trines also Saturn and Neptune, but it will oppose. It will be applying to oppose Uranus. So we can't make everything the best. The applying to oppose Uranus will mean that there would be social revolutions, fiscal revolutions, um, whistleblowers. Okay, Van Nunu, for example, that exposed the A-bomb programs that Israel had Mars opposition Uranus. Ketu with Saturn and Pluto. Ketu with Saturn can be a difficult placement. However, it can also denote that we are purging limitations, which again is very fated here. But there can be spiritual restrictions. And I think anything new deals with spiritual restrictions. So this is in place. It's challenging, but it's in place. But borders can also be challenged. This is a country that won't be easily able to rely on bonds, which I don't think is necessarily a bad thing. But Mars needs to be well positioned. Pluto 22-degree Capricorn. First of all, that was about the time of the beginning of the Ukraine war. This is the retrograde move. I think when Pluto will go direct on this degree, we will have the Ukraine war. February, the Pluto return of US was okay, but this is I'm actually not sure about the degree if that was the Ukraine war, but 22nd degree is degree of to kill and be killed. Pluto is a generational planet, nuclear. So this is a country that could have a bomb drop in on it or drop in an A bomb. I know that very likely Verdis does not currently have a bomb. However, this would put it in the to be killed. Okay. With Saturn ruling over Pluto in a fated position conjoining Ketu, that would be a fated event regarding mass assassination due to nuclear energy, nuclear bomb, or anything that is prolonged crisis, financial crisis, or God forbid, ritual abuse. This is something that I would, yes, I would re-elect, okay? And this is important. Mercury, 18 degrees Gemini. Mercury in Gemini is in its home sign, Jupiter in Sagittarius in its home sign. The opposition can denote of gap between beliefs and opinions. Mercury rules opinions, Jupiter rules beliefs. Some people have Mercury in Jupiter sign, Jupiter in Mercury sign, and so on. But Mercury is 18 degrees, which is degree of poison, chronic poison to the nervous system that is not easy to detect. It's also considered degree of what assassinated astrologer Nicholas Stoyanovich, who had this degree and died of COVID, quote unquote. This is degree of what he called pure evil. So, so this is something where I would just move it a day, and Mercury is in another degree. Sun in Gemini, okay, adaptable, new, exciting, communication can be a strong point for such a country. Leaders can be of Gemini quality, adaptive, acquainted with trade, and so on and so forth. But I would move that Mercury a degree. Here or there, move it a degree, it's fine. I would also prefer Mercury to be in Virgo, particularly when you need to deal with paperwork. Gemini is way more flamboyant. Is very good for marketing, but Mercury in Virgo is stronger and more potent. Even Mercury Libra can assist with jurisdiction, and Mercury Aquarius, some even say that this is an exalted Mercury in Aquarius, which would cause provocation. Lilith, Lilith in Pisces, Black Moon Lilith in Pisces, Lilith in out of sexual sovereignty. This can create a problem of child sex trafficking regarding intelligence. Jupiter has to do with religion. So again, everywhere we put Lilith is going to be a potential for these problems. But here in Pisces, there is an element of having to surrender something, and sexual sovereignty is usually not something we would want to surrender. Yes, and I'm not talking about the safe, sane, and consensual for those people that had scoop the water, move on. I didn't mean that in a lovely sense or in an erotic sense. Um, However, Neptune 18 degrees, that was COVID times. Okay, Neptune 18 degrees of Pisces. Neptune in Pisces, again, we only have a little bit to compare of Neptune in Aries right now in the world degree. Neptune in Pisces, not necessarily bad. 18 degree is, again, Neptune diseases, drugs, psychiatry, mafia. 18, chronic diseases, poison, pure evil. Okay, move Neptune a little bit. And with Neptune, you're going to have to wait a couple of weeks to move it a degree from malefic degree. Chiron, 5 degrees Aries. This is a big problem. Now, Chiron in Aries is just Chiron in Aries. It's still in Aries. It's going to ingress into Taurus soon. And wherever Chiron is, it's kind of like, well, Chiron is here. You're not going to wait, like, you know. But the 5th degree has to do with royal families. It's a royal degree. Wound around sovereignty because of royal families, not good. And that could denote, for example, the Serbia or Croatia invading the country. So that is yes, something to consider. Venus 17 degrees Taurus. Venus in Taurus, excellent. Sextile in Neptune, fantastic, just not on an 18 degree. It's like Venus in harmony with pure evil. But Venus in Taurus, fantastic, well aspected, remediating the opposition between the nodes, trining Pluto and Saturn. I love, love, love this aspect of Venus. Venus is great in Taurus. She's great in Libra. Beautiful. Uranus, 4 degrees Taurus. Amazing. That's when people began to channel their vagina. Great, great energy. It really is. It's a great energy. And Kundalini rise and so on. Wonderful placement for Venus. Not preferred placement for Mars. The Pluto Ketu Saturn thinking is kind of like they need to be separated, and Pluto needs to be moved a degree. Mercury needs to be moved a degree, and Neptune needs to be moved a degree. Of course, right now we are talking almost 6 years after. By then, 6 years after. My God. So watch my Jupiter point of Thales astrological consideration for declarations of independence on BitChute. Spirit of Matter has the entire series where I did a study live with me. And those things can very well affect. So they're going to need a new Declaration of Independence to deal with the invasion problems and to deal with the COVID-related problems. Wonderful initiation. I love it when young people, the founder of this country is just 20 years old. He looked for unclaimed land and claimed the land. Fantastic. As a person who was born in Israel, I salute you. Usually, Israel did not have this wisdom. And yes, and I think we are still dealing with the repercussions or ramifications today. UN deciding that Israel did a genocide. Which yes, so I really love those initiations of young people looking for unclaimed territories. And again, when it comes to astrological considerations of Declaration of Independence, I have an email. You can email me a location and what would you want from the country, and so on and so forth. And we can have a little think tank. And whenever the good elections arise, then I can notify publicly where there are good elections for declarations of independence in your area. This is a great, great, great idea. We're gonna need a lot of sovereign countries. Saturn, Neptune, a boom, an uptake of sovereign countries, astrological consideration for declarations of independence. Amazing. Okay, we don't have to wait for the Epstein orders to decide for us and elect for us charts with horrible moon placements, horrible people placements, just because it serves some sort of another agenda. And I really love those declarations of independence. And we can refine the sciences, and also a declaration of independence can protect from susceptibility to invasion, and mitigate a lot of the expenses on security and national security. Again, watch my content when I talk about housing first and independent of ability to work and to believe the patient, which is a strategic intelligence advantage that poses a challenge to any type of intelligence that is based on fragmentation, violation of sovereignty of the individual, sexual sovereignty in spirit and in matter. Okay, very important. And yes, I love this new initiation. I hope to see more such attempts. I hope to see more declarations of independence, more people, more variety, more divergence, where people can, and more of this lovely initiation of looking at unclaimed land rather than colonialism, I think is a great, way better start than what we had, for example, in Israel, or what the United States had in 1776. They're still dealing with that. Even MK often, which I talked about, is derived from the indigenous practices and that are seething with colonialism. Um, and so there is enough. There is enough land. There are enough resources. There is enough. There is more than enough. This is words of economists. Okay, there apps, and not only that, those control Machiavellian-based tactics are basically wealth blocks. So I really, really salute this young generation, but even older generation that are having these initiations. And I'm very, very open to partake in electing a Declaration of Independence and give of my best advice. When it comes to the real estate, again, order free, cult free. Uh, Everybody's free to practice, their own, but definitely not those Nazi things. And it's not by shooting people in the street. It's more about identifying the Nazi ideology, which is basically slavery based, lack of inclusivity, harming women, harming children, and by that harming men, harming LGBTQ, harming disabled people, and so on and so forth. Um, and this is susceptibility to Nazi ideology. Yes, a lot of people are going to say, oh, we are for freedom and so on and so forth. Okay, the conduct needs to be there. I'm not an expert on like how to deal with crime. I know the Norwegian jail model, which is basically kind of like embracing the person and giving them opportunity rather than forcing them to commit crime. Um, Again, I'm not an expert on that. I do know that most countries, most prisoners are simply the people that do not have money to pay to bail themselves out. Perhaps Annika Lucas can be a source of more information around that. As for currency, rituals around the currency, again, no, I wouldn't put any human sacrifice or any of those rituals or wealth consolidation rituals. Um, Housing first and believe in the patient, 1,000 times more potent than to torture a child and send them to be raped in front of camera to extort a billionaire. Um, because having an embodied citizens that are believed in a strong sense of community is way more potent than fungal extortion, treason based society. So and this is great. It's great to communicate, okay, with the younger people that have the energy to change, and the people that have learned sometimes on their knowledge from experience about whether those trafficking cults or MK Ultra, MK often, that can have a little bit of a more experienced position, which of course you can adopt, you cannot adopt, um, but that is absolutely beautiful to see those initiations of countries, and yes, and to be able to have my own contribution into the mix. Other types of astrology, there is sidereal astrology, Gracia Tassio. I don't know if she's getting requests for elections of declarations of independence, but you can ask her, Gracia Tassio, on YouTube, Babylonian sidereal astrologer. There are people who do Uranian astrology. I was severely attacked when I attempted to learn that, so I don't know what to say, but it was excellent for military and identify where is the susceptibility to be a strike, to have a strike by military. So I would definitely put in Uranian astrology on board. Mind, again, mind the Masons. Most of them good, kind-hearted people that just want to do good in the world, very likely dissociated of everything else. The upper degrees are funded by those who consolidate wealth by the Epstein rings. And again, for housing first, independent of ability to work, believe the patient beats any intelligence that is based on fragmentation. And that is how you basically pose an alternative to extortion calls for your diplomatic relations, and have citizens that are way more connected to their own sovereignty and have kind of this Aries logos, which is why I love this moon Aries here. This Aries logos of rationality and the understanding that caring for themselves, they will live and let live, and they will not commit treason, which is fantastic. And what I said about housing first and so on is good for people who have supposedly schizophrenia, schizoaffective. Don't be scared of the many names. Those are all cover up for intelligence projects. And no, they're absolutely not imagining. And if you know that, you have a strategic intelligence advantage on literally the whole world but Finland. I know open dialogue was created in Netherlands, but is it practiced there? Ah. Just by mitigating pressure of a person that was recovering from ritual abuse, I contributed to preventing an almost surefire successful potential for assassination attempt, as this was both people that were growing literally the same village. And the person was tortured in hospital because he said a certain name, and he needed money. So I had to mitigate, acknowledge the name that he said and the good things that that name did, acknowledge and explain that a part of the recovery is those outbursts and those saying names, and remind that in those rituals, particularly those who partook in the physical rituals, they also had to be perpetrators. Then, fortunately, the person was no longer being tortured, and then he was provided with actual help that actually helps, and things calm down, and they didn't put a gun in his head. They didn't put a gun in anyone's head. Okay, so that is. So that is how I accidentally prevented political assassination. Only after I did that, for me, I was just helping a survivor to not get further tortured or even executed. And only afterwards, I was like, oh, they were both of the same village. Like, oh my God, that was a surefire assassination attempt. By the way, for those who do political assassination prevention, which you're probably going to need for a country, especially if you're the founder, then what you need to know is that they would usually try to pick a person from your own nationality to do that. So when you make sure that nobody is tortured in jails, in hospitals, being homeless, and so on and so forth, you're basically caring for your own behind, forehead, heart, lungs, and spine, and well-being and such, in spirit and in matter. And when it comes to financing, I know there are probably a lot of mutual funds, or I don't know how it's going to work with the currency stuff. Again, think resource economy and think sexual sovereignty. If you violate sexual sovereignty, basically you lost the right to exist, not just as a country, but as a person. And as a person tends to assassination prevention, I would not be able to prevent your assassination, and there would just not be any point of interference for me. But when you support sexual sovereignty within you and within your country, then the point of interference is just paramount, and the advantage, intelligence, strategic, prevention of political assassinations, resources, and wealth consolidation that is not abusive, actually enjoying the life in the country. Everything just begins to paramount. So you would ask yourself, why didn't people do it to begin with? Yeah, they were subjected to all kinds of feudalistic oligarch structures. Um, you might have a lot of people that are oligarchs or even criminals or war criminals that are seeking escape. I don't have the best of advice around that. They would need to be dissolving from the effect of any type of network or mind control that they were subjected to. And perhaps people that survived ritual abuse, or people like Dr. Miller, can give their own expert opinion or input into that. Diplomatically, I don't know how to deal with that, to be honest, and this is an open question. Um, and yet, I have explained the fact that it is the mind control, the networking, and the threats that are responsible for most of the violence. So this is a point of intervention. Okay, it's a point of that could invite a way out of the cold. We have ritual abuse survivors that are absolutely not perpetrators, although they were, with all that entails, and that was a part of the ritual abuse that they went through. So you can simply understand that the people that are in there has just not exited the ghetto, um, and perhaps a part of it is them looking to see how are people doing out there, and do they manage to get out there, and so on and so forth. Um, so okay, because what they did see is a lot of but we have a lot of survivors that are pointing the arrows at directly back at those who sent them, which begins to create a web of accountability, which actually makes it easier to escape the cult. Anyway, yes, that's a nice chart. Really exciting. And again, if you had a Declaration of Independence and it was so, uh, declare independence anew. Okay, give a good election, declare independence anew. Perhaps you can change something a bit about the territory, and yes, and change the name as well, because Mars rules names. So change the name of the country, and you're pretty good. Okay, you're pretty good. When it comes to that, I can see, for example, 1800 chart of Netherlands, not the best example. Okay, but when it comes to this 1800 chart, obviously Netherlands or the Kingdom of Orange did not originate in 1800s, but that chart still holds, and it holds it has explanatory force that nullifies the need to have a previous chart looked at. As well, different lands will have their different wisdoms. I was looking at the chart of Albania, which is a good example for what I said. So, mountains is Capricorn, rocky soil is Aries, um, trees is Jupiter, sea can be a lake is Cancer, waterfalls can very well be a boat Scorpio, ocean can be Pisces, wells underwater is Scorpio. The beauty of the landscape has to do with Libra. Flatland can be Taurus. Okay, fixed Earth. The land next to the sea resources, the water resources, is Virgo. Architecture is Aquarius. Uh, Religious institutions, Pisces. To certain orthodoxy, Capricorn. I wish you to not have to deal with orthodoxy. Yes, but just so you know. Sagittarius, rural area. Gemini, city area. Twin cities. Um, Small houses. Aquarius, big houses. Leo, royal houses or royal mansions. Gold. Um, Eighth house, hidden natural resources. Yes, 12th house, the things you need to pay attention to regarding jails, hospitals, bedroom affairs of people, and seclusion, any type of seclusion. Yes, you say, why would you need to pay attention to bedroom affairs of people? Well, if you normalize rape, you could be invaded very easily. This is what happened to Israel, 7th of October. Number one surveillance in the world. I think, together with the CIA, an entire assassination squad funded, thanks Gordon Thomas. Um, Top technology, high-tech nation. We did not predict the 7th of October. How come? Well, look to the bedroom practice. Look what happens in hospitals. Look what happens in jail. Um, People wouldn't tell the difference. There's so much dumb fuckery. There's like, okay, then those people, if they betray each other so much, then what's a war? Ritual abuse in Nachlaot and so on. Zumbur rituals in the army. Okay, so those things are also important for a country. Definitely, this altogether creates the where were you 12 hours, and to the world the response already looks like how the EU said, the UN said, genocide. So this is what not tending to the 12th house and allowing infestation of evil creates in a chart of a country or an organization. I'm not going to delineate every chart right now, okay? um, yeah. So, yeah, those things. Um, Things that are good to know for new founders of new sovereign countries.